सीढ़ी बजा के कौन भैया अरे भैया
Welcome to the lesson 1, the social system model. So what is social system? It is a model or organization that possesses creativity beyond its component parts. It is distinguished from its environment by a clearly defined boundary. It is composed of subunits, elements, and subsystems that are interrelated within relatively stable patterns of social order according to Olsen 1970 as cited by Timado in 2014. Social system is made up of different parts. Individuals, communities, and organizations form a structured network of interactions that form a cohesive whole called a social system. It is the formal structure of role and status that can form in a small or stable group. So there are basic assumptions of social system model. So assumption means that it is a fact or statement that is taken for granted. So the first is the social system are open system. Schools are affected by state mandates, by politics, by history, and a host of other environmental forces. Example for this is the school needs the approval to the government recommended by the IATF of when they open face-to-face class. Second, social system consists of interdependent parts, characteristics and activities that contribute to and receive from the whole. When the principal is confronted by the parental demands for new courses, not only is the principal affected, but also the teachers and students are affected. Example, if the principal or the teacher was being critiqued in a negative way by the head of the department of education, it is felt also by the school as a whole. Third, social systems are people. Teachers act on the basis of their needs, beliefs, and goals as well as their roles at school. It is effective due of the teacher's ability, but teachers can also have a detrimental impact on school operations by their terrible acts or conducts. The fourth one is the social systems are goal-oriented. Student learning and control are just two of many goals, but the central goal of any school system is the preparation of its students for adult roles. The fifth is the social systems are structural. School systems have division of labor, specialization, and hierarchy. Example, we have different teachers with different specialization. There are English teachers, science teachers, and many more. 6. Social systems are normative. Schools have formal rules and regulations as well as informal norms that prescribe appropriate behavior. The school need to have school policy to make the students have an appropriate behavior, and also the school consider the community upon having policy. 7. The social systems are sanction-bearing. Schools have formal mechanisms such as expulsion, suspension, termination, tenure, and promotion as well as informal sanctions that include the use of sarcasm, ostracism, and ridicule. In this system, we form committees in schools, and for students, we organize a school council to defend the children from inappropriate behavior that have done to them. 8. Social systems are political. Schools have power relations that inevitably affect administrator and teachers' activities, especially when a portion of the school is provided by a powerful person or a politician. That is why it is a must to set a clear understanding of the rules of the school and the DepEd. 9th, social systems have distinctive cultures. Schools have a dominant set of shared values that influence behavior. School has a dominating set of common values that impact behavior. This may or may not be beneficial, but if we can manage to combine our many cultures, we may be able to achieve success. 10. Social systems, conceptual and relative. For one purpose, a classroom can be considered a social system, but for other purposes, the school or school system may be viewed as a social system. And lastly, all formal organizations are school systems, but all social systems are not formal organizations. So this is the picture of social system model for schools. The transforming process composed of four systems. These are the structural, cultural, political, and individual systems. Social system model for schools. Schools are important organizations that prepare our children for adult roles. Their working mechanism has a strong effect on the quality of education. As a social system, the school is described by an interdependence of parts clearly defined population, differentiated from its environment, a complex network of social relationships, and its own unique culture. The environment here in the picture represents the school as social system that transforms the inputs into outputs. It is undergoing transformation process since the primary goal of a school as an institution is to interact and transmit abilities to the students with the help of these four systems. So these are the four systems. Structural system. It is similar to those of formal organizations. Bureaucratic expectations rule organizational behavior. Positions in a hierarchy indicate roles formed from those expectations, which assign duties to specialized persons. So in school, they are the principals, teachers, and more other administrators who govern in the school. So cultural system. It is similar to the emergence of informal organizations. Culture emerges from interactions of individuals within a system. Culture is the most apparent feature of an organization's life that sets it apart from others, and it has a substantial impact on behavior through fostering individual commitment to common standards. In their interaction, they share pieces of themselves that can enhance the performance of each other, especially to the students and to the school as a whole. So, political system. Within an organization, politics emerges from the interaction of authority and power. The school follows policies that was made by political system. One benefit of the political system is that it pushes a school to be environmentally conscious, since the school is an open system who follows the mandate of the state. Individual system. Every individual interprets their roles according to their behavior, such as teachers, learners, administrators, and students. According to Hoy and Miskell 2005, claim that social behavior is formed by the interaction of bureaucratic expectations and individual needs. Along with behavior, individual needs and beliefs also from feelings, they motivate themselves to understand their roles or functions in the society. Since the individuals are such an essential part of social systems, their favorably attitudes about the organization have a considerable impact on the system's overall health. So this is how it goes in the social system for school. A school as an open system and is different from another system because of its transformation process. In school, the inputs are the students since we are aiming to prepare the students to occupy social roles according to their capabilities after leaving the school, and the output is the graduate. Therefore, the system takes sources from the environment, transforming them according to the needs of the environment. However, the most important element interaction between the school system is feedbacks. A social system like the school has unique characteristics like rational, neutral, and openness. They should have hierarchies of authority, goals, role, and expectation like bureaucratic systems.
Hi everyone, I'm Elan Granada, and I'm going to tackle to you about the key elements of school as a social system. In this topic, it is talk about the key elements of school as a social system. But first, let us know what is school as a social system. According to Hanson, 1996, a set of interrelated elements functioning as a unit to achieve a specific purpose. Also, according to him, there is interaction between the elements and forces in the internal and external environment of the system. The school, as a social system, is to understand the behavior of teacher and educational administrators. It is helpful for use certain sociological concepts. The school is basically a social organization characterized by structure and by norms. These are the key elements of school as a social system. First is the structure. Structure, roles, are expectations of positions that are arranged in a hierarchy. Bureaucratic roles defined by sets of expectations which are combined into positions and office in the organization. Teachers and students are considered in the structure. Differences in student status and curriculum tracking. What is taught at school, how it is taught, and what is learned are all influenced by social structure. The structure of social system inherits many elements from rational, natural, and open system theories. For example, social system has both formal and informal organizations with them. According to Kowalski 2010, asserts that schools are social systems and have three qualities: arbitrary, consequential boundaries, interrelated subsystems, and multiple causation events happen as a consequence of more than one cause. Second is the individual. Individual, a key unit in any social system, regardless of position. People bring with them individuals' needs, beliefs, and a cognitive understanding of the job. Individuals and educators in schools are drawn from society. It is only natural that their ideas impact how things are done at school. Individuals and organizations try to impose their motives on each other. The process done by the organization is called socializing process, and the personalizing process when it is done by the individual. Problem occurs if there is discordance between the two processes. Therefore, according to Gitzels, Bipham, and Campbell 1968, leaders should seek harmony between them. Third is the culture. Culture represents the unwritten feelings part of the organizations and shared values. There is a dynamic relationship between bureaucratic role, demands, and individual work needs as people brought together in the workplace. The way teachers and staff members collaborate, as well as their shared views and values, is referred to as a school culture. All systems produce culture as a natural byproduct. The most obvious component of an organization's life that separates it from other it is culture. Culture has a huge impact on behavior because it establishes individual commitment to the common norms. According to sociologists, culture consists of the values, beliefs, systems of language, communication, and practices that people share in common, and that can be used to define them as a collective. Culture also includes the material objects that are common to that group of society. The fourth is the politics. Politics and formal power, relations that develop spontaneously. Political dimension spawns that informal power relations that emerge, often to resist other systems of legitimate control. Without a formal or official leadership designation, informal power refers to the ability to lead or direct. At other words, We have politics in school, but not in the same way that we do in government. This type of politics encourages members of the organization to work together rather than competing for the power like they do in government. According to since 1990, politics inevitably appear in organizations. Politics emerges from the interaction of authority and power within an organization. There are three sources of power in an organization. Formal power originates from the structural system. The second, the cultural system produces informal power. And the third, and individuals have the power of expertise. The fifth is the technical core, teaching and learning. The teaching learning process is the technical core of schools. All other activities are secondary to the basic mission of teaching and learning, which shapes the administrative decision in schools. Over the course of healthy schools, the teaching learning process is the meat or heart of education. The technical core of an organization is the activity structure that produces the organization's actual product. The purpose of the school, as evidenced by classroom teaching and learning, is to empower all students in all grades in their learning and assessment in a meaningful and effective manner. According to Ben Baruch, 1983, for instance, since teachers work alone instead of in teams, the structure of schools tends to be hierarchically flat because it has few hierarchical levels. However, according to Kinsler and Gumbel 2001, creating work groups and freeing them from intense supervision let teachers be more creative and responsible for teaching. The sixth is the environment. Environment, everything outside the organization, but unlike physical system, social systems are open. Hence, the boundaries are much ambiguous and the environment more intrusive. Environment refers to a concerted attempt to teach people about natural surroundings and in particular, how to regulate their behavior and ecosystems in order to live sustainably. Because the learner must do the learning. The goal is to establish a comprehensive learning environment that maximizes pupils' ability to learn. According to Mintzberg 1983, claims that politics can provide the organization with many advantages. One advantage of the political system is that it forces a school to be responsible to its environment. Next is the outcomes, the products of the organizations that is educated students. Performance outcomes are indicators of goal accomplishment. It is an educational theory that bases each part of an educational system around goals. External pressures must be recognized, responded to, and outcomes produced by schools. Schools with decentralized education system that allow them to be actively involved in the social needs of those in their community are more likely to be open and social. The educational decisions made in schools are influenced by community members. Schools are required to provide results that are desired by their surrounding communities. And the last one is the feedback loops, internal and external. It is a communication that monitors behavior. Feedback loops are the exchange of information regarding of one's comprehension and performance between practitioners, peers, and oneself, as well as between learners and practitioners. An important element of this interaction called feedback, information about the quality of the process, let the system correct and enhance itself. When teachers seek or at least are open to what learners know, what they grasp, where they make errors, and when they have misconceptions, feedback loops have an powerful impact on learning outcomes. After hiring people whose personalities let them adapt to their roles, administrators must clarify the roles in detail by engaging new staff in two-way communication that requires letting them express their feedback. According to Bollman and Deal 1984, since education is complicated and not routine, schools can be performed better with a decentralized structure.
Lesson 3. The school as a community. Our objective is to define school as a community and to discuss the relationship between school and the community. On the previous lesson, we are tackling about the basic concept and key elements of school as a social system. Here in lesson 3, it introduces you about the school as a community within the community and the relationship between the school and the community. So let's move forward. Next, let us define first what is school. A school is an educational institution designed to provide learning spaces and learning environments for teaching the students under the direction of our teachers. So, particularly, school is an institution for educating children in which they are being taught values, how to write, to read, and also to develop their skills in different aspects. Next is what is community? Community is a group of individuals living in the same place and sharing a particular characteristic in common. So basically, community shared common interests, goals, perception, opinions, and many more. What is the relationship between school and the community? It appears that the connection between the school and the community is not static, but develops on a continuum. The level at which the school reaches its community and vice versa in their level of community orientation. So, it is very important to understand the connection between the school and the community. Hence, school exists within the community, right? For example, the connection between the teachers and the parents, we can consider that through this connection, it can highly beneficiary for the learning of their students. For example, we have this home visiting. Teachers do home visiting, asking certain questions with regards to the students' interests, asking feedback and concern. Therefore, through this connection between the parents, as a members of the community, it can help the school to achieve their certain goals for their learners. According to Noy 1984, parental involvement in the school enriches the pupil's world and extends the horizon because when the parents take part in the educational process, the pupils are exposed to a variety of people who represent different worlds in terms of life experience, age, occupation, hobbies, and mentality. This encounter can afford many opportunities for their learning enrichments and identification. According to Green 2016, there are three possible patterns of connection between the school and the community as described in the educational literature. The first pattern is the closed door pattern. The second is the open door pattern. And lastly, the balance pattern. Let us go first to the closed door pattern. Closed door pattern, the school deals with all the child's educational and social problems, and community involvement and intervention are minimal. According to Friedman, community feedback is very necessary. In Friedman's view, a closed-door policy will waste energy without the right guidance. In the absence of the constant input from the parents and the community, the school will be unaware of changes occurring in these systems, and hence will be unable to adapt itself and curricula of these changes will keep degenerating. Therefore, we can reflect that in closed-door pattern, there's no integration between the school and the community. Hence, the school stands independently without the intervention of the community. Next is the open-door pattern. The school with an open-door policy makes the parents partners to their child's educational process and strives to become an influential factor in the life of the community. Here, in open door pattern, there's a collaboration between school and community. Here we could somehow consider that the community can freely intervene their demand in school. According to Friedman, 1986, a school with an open door policy accepts students from the parents, educates them, and return them to their community. They will raise a new generation of students who are expected to make a greater commitment to their children's education than their parents' generation. Next is the balance pattern. The school and the parents set the degree of closeness or distance between them in order to achieve their educational and social goals to the optimal extent. When the distance is large, the school has to bridge the gap and reach out to the community. When the distance is small, the school has to close its gates somewhat. Here, basically, community and school shared with the same balanced interests. Shared with the same balanced interests. Okay?
In this lesson, it talks about school as a learning community. But first, let us know what is school as a learning community. A school as a learning community is one in which all members acquire new ideas and accept responsibility for making the institution work. All workers in school must feel free that their insights are valued and taken into account in community life. Social organizations, like schools, are stemmed from interaction among people both within and outside of the organization. Relationships within school building and with the community are essential elements of socialization and have a significant impact on many vital processes. According to Kowalski 2010, building and maintaining relationships can be considered as a process by which principals and teachers link learning that occurs inside and outside of the building. According to Hyatt Michael 2001, there are four essential elements for our learning community, and these are the first, a servant leader who performs as a guide and nurturer. It is encourages and nurtures all members of the community to perform their ultimate capacity and supports the learning and uniqueness of each member, rather than saving compliment for his or her efforts. A leader who is dedicated to serving others has a common moral purpose, a sense of trust, and acts as a guide and nurturer. All members should be treated with respect, and there should be an open environment for collaborative decision making. According to Bollman and Deal 1995, the servant leader encourages and nurtures all members of the community to perform to their utmost capacity for the good of the organization. Second, a shared moral purpose. It appeals to the common good of the learning community and becomes the vital strength that binds together. This moral purpose should be in the community's best interest. This moral purpose serves as a glue that holds the group together. According to DeVito 1996, the learning organization may be open to new practices, but the core set of values, which creates the moral purpose, ought not to change. The educational leader should be able to do both sincerely believe in the importance of this moral goal, and his or her life should be dedicated to it, act in accordance with this moral goal. Third, a sense of trust and respect among all members. The educational leader must understand the qualities and lives of every member in the community in its purpose. The actions of the leaders that are oriented toward a common moral goal help to foster the community's third important part is a sense of trust and mutual respect among its members. The leader is aware of himself, the qualities and lives of each member of the organization, and the organization's mission. In schools, the leader creates a learning organization by showing a sense of trust and respect for each member of the group. In his study of school change, Goodlad 1975 noted that the school site principal administrative leader was the primary agent for change. Fourth, an open environment for collaborative decision making. It presents a challenge to any leader who wants to move toward the concept of a learning community. The goal of collaborative decision-making process is to combine the input of all stakeholders and as a result, make the best conclusion possible from an objective position. It is common for collective decisions to differ than individual decisions. However, no evidence that group decisions are consistently better or worse than individual decisions. Additionally, collaborative decisions appear to be linked to group behaviors, member interactions, role distribution, and psychological aspects that influence people's thinking. According to Schröder 2001, changing the manner in which people interact requires significant time and patience. Next, what is a community of practice? According to Etienne Wenger, the first person who coined the word community of practice, that it is a group of people who share a passion for something that they know how to do and who interact regularly to learn how to do it better. Communities of practice often focus on sharing best practices and creating new knowledge to advance a domain of professional practice. Many communities of practice rely on face-to-face meetings as well as web-based collaborative environments to communicate, connect, and conduct community activities. According to Wenger 2011, there are three characteristics of communities in practice. First is the domain. It is a community members have a shared domain of interest, competence, and commitment and distinguishes them from others. This domain creates common ground, inspires members to participate, guides their learning, and gives meaning to their actions. Second is the community. Members pursue this interest through joint activities, discussions, problem-solving opportunities, information sharing, and relationship building. The notion of a community creates the social fabric for enabling collective learning. A strong community fosters interaction and encourages a willingness to share ideas. Third is the practice. Community members are actual practitioners in this domain of interest and build a shared repertoire of resources and ideas that they take back to their practice. While the domain provides the general area of interest for the community, the practice is the specific focus around which the community develops, shares, and maintains its core of collective knowledge. So that's the end of our presentation. We hope that we did import you some knowledge about Lesson 1 to Lesson 4. Thank you for your watching and may God bless us all.